Flight is canceled or significantly delayed, there are a new series of rules that airlines must soon follow. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa spoke with an aviation expert to break down your rights for this holiday travel season.
New federal law and Department of Transportation rules now require no-hassle refunds, upfront baggage fee disclosures, 24/7 customer service, and a ban on family seating fees. Bill McGee, a senior fellow for aviation at American Economic Liberties Project and the author of the book Attention All Passengers, says those new rules surrounding refunds kick in on October 28th of this year, just in time for the holiday travel season.
And they should be here by the Thanksgiving holiday period. And in that case, a significant delay for the first time has been defined by the Department of Transportation as 3 hours for a domestic flight and 6 hours for an international flight.
McGee says cancellations are a little clearer. The Department of Transportation rules say if your flight is canceled for any reason, controllable or not controllable by the airlines, for weather or any factor, and you do not want to continue with the trip, you are entitled to a cash refund.
If you want a voucher, you want to ask for one, that's fine. But the default will be your flight was canceled. You're not going to have to jump through hoops. You're not going to have to contact the airline. You're not going to have to stay on a long line in reservations. You're not going to have to write emails. If your flight is canceled, they will automatically give you cash, or they will be subject to penalties if not.
When it comes to baggage fees, if a checked bag arrives 12 hours or more late for a domestic flight, you are due a refund. For international flights, if baggage arrives 15 to 30 hours late, depending on the length of your flight, you get a refund. And next year, new rules will prohibit all airlines from charging families extra to guarantee a child 13 or younger will sit next to a parent or adult travel partner. Some airlines are already guaranteeing free family seating. With this watch in your wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.